Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is your host for the Million Dollar Pitch, Brad Blazer. I want to give everybody the opportunity to grab a pen and paper, to go ahead and grab a cup of coffee. We're going to give everybody a couple of more minutes to log on this evening before we actually get started. Got a big night, got lots of notes, got a lot of things that I want to unpack and deliver to all of you that are here with me. So I just want to let everybody know, as we're basically loading up the room, that we're going to get started here in about another 2 to 3 minutes. We literally have 300 people registered for this event from all around the world. So let's give everybody just a few more minutes to come on into the podcast, to come on in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. I can't tell you how excited I am to be with all of you here tonight. Literally learning how to raise capital, learning how to craft my pitch has allowed me to raise hundreds of millions of dollars for projects of my own, as well as projects of other big companies, real estate companies, private equity firms, oil and gas, et cetera, et cetera. So like I said, we're going to get started here in about another minute or two as we build the engagement, as we get more people to come into the room. And like I said, I'm just real excited. So get ready to take a lot of notes. Get ready to basically learn a lot about crafting your pitch, crafting your message, because that's really what tonight's webinar is all about. Most of you that follow me know that I've raised over $2 billion over the course of my 35-year career. And I want to share all of that knowledge with you while we're here together. So I want to go ahead and just welcome you. My name is Brad Blazer, and tonight, really what I'm here to do is to help all of you understand what I call some key concepts and some key principles as it relates to really learning how to attract and raise capital. That's really the whole message tonight, for the purpose of the webinar, is to really just help empower you and give you the knowledge and give you the tools and give you the things that you need in order to be successful at doing this at really a much, much higher level. So let's go ahead and get started. I've got 7:31. I want to be punctual. Again, I want to welcome everybody here, and just really I'm humbled that we had over 300 people that clicked the link, sign up to join us tonight for the webinar. So again, my name is Brad Blazer, and in our time together today, here's what I really want to cover for you guys. I want to cover basically three things, and these are very, very important. I want you at the end of the webinar to look at these three things as what I'm going to call the barometer, right? This is the barometer as to, did Brad Blazer deliver on his promise tonight to deliver basically the $1 million pitch? And so these three things are: number one, how to build trust and how to establish a relationship with a potential investor. That is key principle number one. Let me just tell you, nobody's going to give you 2 pennies to rub together until you learn the concept of building trust and establishing a relationship with another person. The second key thing I want to cover tonight is what investors look for in a good presentation, what a $1 million pitch should look like and what it should include. And lastly, I'm also going to talk to you about how to build a pitch deck, what it looks like, how to basically start moving forward so that you start taking on the image and the $1 million brand. Because as I like to say, if you're going to go out there with the desire to raise $1 million, you need to look like $1 million, right? So I'm assuming that you're here tonight because you want to do something bigger with your life. That's probably the reason that you're here. You want to do something bigger with your life. You're sick and tired of playing with your amateurish ways. You've made the decision that you want to go pro. You want to step up your game. Maybe you want to start a business. Maybe you want to invest in real estate. Maybe you want to start a fund. Maybe you want to learn how to use other people's money and create what I call mailbox money. These are horizontal streams of income, right? For much of your life, you've had this burning desire to do more. And that's why you're here. That's what you're here for tonight, is really this burning desire to do more with your life, and really just more importantly, to grow. That's the whole key of understanding how to raise money from other people. Robert Kiyosaki says that raising money from other people is one of the key fundamental principles to actually building and creating wealth. And so we're going to talk tonight about pitch decks. We're going to talk tonight about high net worth investors and individuals. We're going to talk tonight about something that is called the trust sequence. But here's what I will tell you. If at any time during our time together this evening, you have a desire to get on a strategy session with me or get on a strategy session with my team, I want you to email my team. I want to give you their emails, and Chris is here with me this evening, Chris O'Donnell. Many of you may have spoken to him. He is my team leader. You want to email Chris at bradblazar.com. Chris, you want to go ahead maybe and just unmute yourself and perhaps say hello to the audience and just introduce yourself in the chat?
Yeah, absolutely. You hear me okay?
Yep, hear you just fine.
Hey, awesome. Hey, everybody. Again, like Brad said, my name's Chris O'Donnell. Been working with Brad here the last couple months and pumped to be here for sure and learn, a lot with a lot of you guys, and whatever questions you guys may have, I'll do the best of my ability to answer those. Just feel free to reach out to me. That's my cell phone number and that's my email, and we'll get you rocking and rolling, man. The goal is to help you guys take your businesses up a notch and really just take you to the next level. And Brad's really, really good at that. I see him do it every single day. So looking forward to talking to you.
Great. Thanks so much, Chris. And, like I said, Chris's email is right there in the chat. It's chris@bradblazar.com. You can also email my other assistant, that is Lisa. Her email is just info, INFO @bradblazar.com. They'll come in, we'll be able to get back to you, basically give you all the information that you need. So let me start just by kind of setting the tone for tonight. How many of you that are here have a burning desire to be doing something bigger with your life? That's like why you're here. That's like why you're registered. You've just got this burning desire to be doing something bigger with your life. Have you ever wanted to start a business? The desire to do something like invest in real estate, or maybe you're already in real estate now and you just want to graduate. You want to grow to that next level. You want to get in multifamily. You want to get in commercial real estate. You see, as a coach, when I have an initial strategy call with another individual, one of the key questions that I always ask them is like, what do you desire to do? What do you want to be doing? And invariably, many times I've always had this burning desire to start a business, or I've always had this burning desire to get into real estate. And I have a follow-up question, and that is like, how long have you had this thought? How long have you had this burning desire? Oh, I don't know, maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe 7 years. And I just sit there and I look at them and I say, you've wasted 5, 6, 7 years of your life not moving forward, like not getting started. What's the big reason you haven't been able to do anything? And it always comes down to money. Always comes down to, I just don't have the money. Now, here's what I'll tell you. All the money you need, all of it, exists in the world. And as Grant Cardone would say, and I like to say, all the money you need is just in the pockets and bank accounts of other people. They're called investors. You see, that's the key. They're called investors. And so once you develop this superpower that I want to give to you, it is a game changer. Now you have the ability to go out, talk to people, convert them to potential investment partners where they're now investing alongside you. And that's why we're here. Let me ask you, have you ever been around somebody that just seemed to have a lot of disposable income, right? They had a significant net worth. They were wealthy. As a child, when I was growing up, I had a very wealthy uncle. His name was Uncle Henry, very successful entrepreneur. And I realized at a very young age that it was a lot better to have money than it was to not have money. And he said something to me when I was about 7 years old that I will never forget. It literally changed my life. He said, Brad, if you can find out what you're really good at, like look at yourself internally and find that one hard skill and package that up and then deliver it to the world where it transforms people's lives, it helps change people's lives for the better, it'll make you hugely successful in doing so. Now, for much of your life, you've probably had this burning desire to do more, but perhaps you just lacked that money to see that desire become a reality. And so it's now time to learn the skills, to up your game, to go pro and get these key concepts that will allow you to attract the capital that you need so that you can build, buy, or scale that business or do something bigger. Now, over the course of the next 45 minutes to an hour while we're here, the purpose of this webinar is really to show you how to build trust and establish a relationship within another person, how to put together your pitch deck. And so again, I just want to thank you all for taking time to show up here, really investing in yourselves. You see, it was an investment that I personally made in myself when I was about 21 years of age, where I learned how to attract and raise capital. I was blessed to have gone to work for a small oil company where the CEO took a liking to me. He mentored me, but I also went out and I invested. I bought books, I listened, and I really, really observed what other people were doing. I also watched people on Wall Street. And so that's what allowed me at the age of 23 to raise millions of dollars and build a team around me that allowed me to actually build and scale a small independent oil company, you see. Now, a lot of you are probably asking yourself, like, who is this dude? Maybe you don't really follow me. Maybe you just met me on social media. You saw one of our ads, or maybe you clicked the link after you got the email. Well, you see, basically, I have written the book on using other people's money. It's called Winning at the Capital Game. But in addition to that, I'm also a 3-time author. I've got 2 other books that you can also find on Amazon. But what really makes me qualified to teach how to raise capital is I've raised over $2 billion. Okay, around the world, I'm known as a $2 billion guy. There are very few people teaching this skill to others that have raised $2 billion, and more importantly, raised that money from pretty much every conceivable source you could fathom. Family offices, high net worth individuals, foreign countries, pensions, trusts, broker dealers. And so I can teach you as you grow and scale, perhaps your capital raising business, you see how to get to that next level, how to climb the rung on that ladder so that you can build generational wealth. And really a feather in my cap, and probably one of the big highlights of my professional career, as you see there at the bottom, I was recently recognized for meritorious honor based on philanthropy and entrepreneurship and knighted under the Royal Order of Constantine the Great in St. Helena, a true royal ceremony, not one of these what I call a Freemasonry or Knights of Columbus fraternal knightings. This was a true royal ceremony. Passports, I have basically dual citizenship, et cetera, et cetera. So what I'm going to share with you tonight is very important to really taking your dream of raising capital and learning how to use other people's money to a whole nother level. You know, like I said earlier, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of the most widely distributed books globally, says this is a fundamental principle in building and creating wealth. Now, what's in it for you if you stick around and you stay until the end? There's a lot. Number one, when we're finished tonight, you're going to have clarity. That is my goal. I want you to have clarity on some of these key concepts. I want you to have an understanding on what you really need to become successful in order to raise money. Sometimes all you need is just a little nudge, a little push from someone like me who has major demonstrated capacity so that you go out now and you do it in a big way. Okay? Sometimes all you need is someone just to take you by the hand, kind of be your Sherpa, show you the way, let you step into their shoes as you look over the shoulder. And that's what we're going to do tonight. Now, you might be sitting there wondering, like, will this work for me? Can I actually do this? Here's what I'll tell you. This will work for anyone who wants to do something bigger with their life that has a desire. Anyone that has the desire to attract and raise capital can certainly go out and do it. okay? But it's important that you stay to the end of the session so that you get all of these concepts, so that you can start putting them together. They're like pieces of a puzzle, right? The trust sequence goes into the 4-step blueprint, and then you add the validation phrase, and all of those things become a recipe for success when it comes to raising capital. You see, when I started raising money at the age of 21, that's when I started. I was 21 years old. I didn't have a plan. I had absolutely no structure. I had absolutely no idea of what I was doing. I was just struggling and floundering. And the reason that people probably invested with me was because I was persistent. I was tenacious. I was confident. I was a cocky little 21, 22-year-old kid. And it was when I went to work for this other person that largely became a mentor for me in my life and really studied. That's when things exploded. That's like where the light bulb went off in my head. And it allowed me to then, of course, grow and build an oil company around me. I got clarity on how to go out and raise capital. That success at an early age, 22, 23, raising millions of dollars a year from high net worth investors, allowed me to build the oil company, work alongside other business owners, and over the years, fast forward, raised tens of millions of dollars for them and for various projects of my own. Today, I'm a real estate syndicator. I take on the role of a general partner in multifamily, a co-GP with other people, help raise money for other deals. And that's largely what we do. And because I started raising capital at the age of 21 years of age, today now, fast forward, I've got 35 years of experience. I have what people in the coaching industry call a demonstrated capacity. That means I've gone long in the same direction. And this has allowed me to grow and scale Capital School to the largest coaching program and mentoring program, I believe, today in the world to teach these skills. We have students today in approximately 10 countries that I coach in, not just here in the United States. Most of you are probably here, but I got students in Canada. I got students, of course, here. We got students in Australia. We got students in New Zealand. I got students across the ocean in England, in Dubai, in Finland, in Brazil, in Portugal. So you see, this will work anywhere in the world. Now, I don't know the securities regulations in each country, but what I do know and what I want to teach you is how to attract a person's attention, what to say to them once you're in front of them, how to put together your pitch deck, how to deliver your message. And so if you pay close attention to what I'm going to teach you tonight, you'll be able to actually start the process of raising capital. And you can actually start that process fairly quickly. Who knows what can happen from there? Perhaps you'll buy your first large investment property. Maybe the business that you've always wanted to launch will actually become a reality for you. That desire maybe to launch a fund, if you desire to launch a fund, may come to fruition. I don't know. But I tell people, you don't need more money. You need more people. You need more people in your life. You see, the people have the money. And so you have to overcome this fear, this limiting belief, this hesitation of approaching people and having conversations. That desire to launch a fund can come to fruition. That desire to do something bigger with your life can become a reality. You see, the people have the money, all the money you need. The concepts that I'm going to give you tonight will get you in front of people. They'll allow you to deliver a compelling pitch. And more importantly, they're going to allow you to deliver that pitch in a way that hopefully these people want to open up their checkbooks and hopefully invest with you. So let's go ahead and actually get started. We're going to start talking about some of these concepts and these things here. But before we do that, I want to demystify a couple of things, because a lot of you may have floundered, or maybe you tried to get started raising capital. So here's a couple things that I will tell you. Okay, I want to demystify some things first. Number one, your age and experience does not matter as much as simply having confidence when it comes to raising capital. I mean, after all, how could a 22-year-old, 23-year-old kid that turned his back to a collegiate education, walked out of college, raise tens of millions of dollars and grow that and scale it to become a multi-million-dollar business? Okay, so your age doesn't matter. The second thing is the investors that you're going to be talking to do not invest in good ideas. I learned this from some of the sharks on the hit TV show Shark Tank. Kevin Harrington, who spoke at our event this past year, said, man, a lot of people come into Shark Tank with great ideas, and then they wonder, like, why didn't I get funded? It's because you haven't convinced the investor that you can execute on a strategy. You see, you need to build a team of people around you, and you say, me and my team can execute on the strategy. We can get this done, and you significantly increase your chances and your odds of actually getting the money you need. And lastly, and most important, the structure of the deal is actually more important than the strategy or what it is you're doing. Investors, at the end of the day, they just want to know what's in it for them. You see, they just want to know, like, what's in it for me. And so if you're delivering this investment opportunity to investors, what you really have to understand is the way they think. You have to put yourself in their shoes, okay? Now, a lot of people that want to attract and raise capital, they may go out and they hire what we call a placement agent. A placement agent will raise capital for you. They'll take the lead. They'll assist in the preparation of your pitch deck, your offering memorandum. They'll help you put together your executive summary and all that. And that's certainly an option for those here that want to do that, but it's very costly and very expensive. But here's what I'll tell you. I've got a division in our company that can help you with that and do all the work for you. Create your pitch deck, put together your offering memorandum, put together your one-pager. We call that a teaser. And so we literally will hand to you a completed investor package. And that process takes about 4 to 6 weeks. If you're interested in something like that, send an email to Chris or send an email to Lisa. Again, Chris will put his email there in the chat, and we can have a conversation of what that looks like so that it takes the burden off of you. And now you have a true professional that's going to put that stuff together for you. You see, I was once in your shoes, folks. When I started raising capital, okay, I didn't know what I was doing. Luckily, I had my mentor, I had my coach. He taught me how to do it properly. I raised my first $1 million, but it didn't stop from there. I trained other people that came to work for me. We scaled the business, taught them how to raise capital too. And that just allowed me, of course, to repeat the process over and over and over again and take things to a whole new level. I want you to be thinking about raising capital and how that would change things for you. Like, what would your life look like with the ability to attract investors? Okay. I want you to dream big. I want you to start having bigger thoughts. I want you to say to yourself, if I could raise just $1 million, I don't have to raise 5 or 10, just $1 million over the next 6 to 9 months, like, what would that do for me? You see, I'd like you to maybe share in the chat or maybe just, share what you would do if you had access to that capital. Now, because of the time constraints here this evening, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on 3 things. I'm going to cover 3 things tonight with all of you, okay? 3 things. So we're going to talk about secret number 1. You're probably sitting there at home or wherever you are watching this saying, man, Brad, I want to raise money. I want to raise money so bad. I can taste it, but I just don't know how to do it. Okay. And here's what I'll tell you. You can do this. You just got to get started. It's like learning a skill, like playing the piano, like riding a bike, like playing a musical instrument. Raising capital is simply a skill. And what I want to do is I want to make it your new superpower. Okay. Think of it as simply having conversations with people. Now, those conversations can be telephone calls. They could be Zoom meetings. They could be in-person, face-to-face meetings. But the process of raising capital is simply just creating activity around it. Money follows motion. You see, you have the opportunity and you largely have the knowledge already in your mind. It just needs to be unlocked. And so we have to get the idea you have for a business, or we have to take the opportunity that you have for an investor, like investing in real estate, and put that down into a presentation. That becomes your pitch deck. It's the content that other people can look at and that they can absorb. In other words, the potential investor has to be able to absorb the content in order to do due diligence and, more importantly, make what we call a buying decision. Make sense? So preparing your pitch deck is when you own the entire project and put it into a presentation that investors can digest. And, you can have success raising capital. I mean, I had a young man that came to work for me when I was in the oil business, and I'll share this story with you. When I was in the oil business, we wanted to hire salespeople to come to work in our organization. And so we ran ads back then because we didn't have technology back in the late 80s. And one day, my secretary called me and she said, "Brad, Jack's here for his interview." I said, "Great, I'll be right there." Now, I want all of you to imagine this in your mind. I'm in a very prestigious bank office building, okay? Everybody in the building is in business attire, including myself, suits and ties, or at least a sports coat, maybe an open collar. And here for an interview is a young man, probably in his 30s, dressed up with jeans that had holes in the knees. He had work boots that were covered with dust and mud. He had a flannel shirt. He had a big mullet for a haircut with long hair and a big old Fu Manchu mustache. Now, many of you may have seen the movie Joe Dirt with David Spade. Let's just say he was Joe Dirt's first cousin. Okay? Not a great candidate coming dressed like that for a job interview. But I treat everybody equally. I don't prejudge. And so I said, "Come on into the conference room." I treated him to a cup of coffee. We sat down and I got to know him. And what I saw in his resume is that he worked in the oil industry, but as a roughneck out in the field in the hot Texas sun in West Texas. And I said, "Jack, share with me why you want to come to work for me." And he looked at me with a stare that pierced my heart that day. And he said, "Mr. Blazer, it's because my wife and my daughter have much bigger dreams and ambitions than I do. And I just want to be able to give them every opportunity and everything in life they deserve." Now, I've been in business about 8 years and I never heard anybody ever say that. And that was the one thing that opened the door for Jack that day, because I saw in him a purpose to serve his wife and daughter that went beyond him. And I said, "If you can be back here on Monday morning, I will put you to work." And he hugged me and he ran out the door, and he came back on Monday morning dressed exactly the same way. And I'm sitting there going, "Man, I really messed up. Brad, you just really, really messed up this poor kid's life. He just quit his job, probably had a good job. Now he's going to sit over here. How is he going to get on a phone and convince people to send us checks for $50,000 and $100,000 looking like this?" And I said, "Jack, come with me." And we went in my sports car and we went downstairs, and I took him to a department store that day, and I invested in 2 suits. And I literally gave him a Hollywood makeover. Shirts, sports coats, slacks, nice pair of shoes. Then I took him to my barber and I said, "Let's clean him up a little bit." And when we went back into the office at about 4:30, literally my secretary didn't even recognize him as the same guy he was. But here's the key. The next day when he came to work, there was a little swagger. Man, I could see it in his walk. His confidence went up. Okay, he felt better about himself. And then I gave him the same script called the 4-step blueprint. That's one of my concepts. I taught him the validation phrase. I explained to him how the financing on the deals work. We perfected his pitch, creating FOMO, which is the fear of missing out, building to an inflection point in his delivery. And I kid you not, that year, old Jack raised $25 million and personally earned almost $250,000 in income. Today, we still stay in touch. He's a very successful financial advisor in Austin, Texas, overseeing about $800 million in client assets. So if old Joe Dirt can learn how to raise $25 million in the first 12 months, as well as the dozens of other people, literally lots of people, I guarantee you can do this too. It's just a matter of desire. You see, you might be thinking, I can never raise tens of millions of dollars. Well, the tens of millions I raised started with my first. This is just a journey for many of you that are here. That first opened my eyes. It gave me my confidence. I repeated the process. I knew I had the power. That allowed me then to scale and raise 3. And from there, I went to 5. I hired people and I went to 10. Now, think of the opportunity, right, that you might discuss with a potential investor. Many of you that are here are in real estate now. You're doing whatever, Airbnb, wholesaling, flipping, and you want to get into the big stuff, but you need the money. Think about that. How would you present that to a potential investor? You see, I've seen people raise money for just about anything. I mean, I've seen people raise money for cat farming. That's right, catfish farming. I've seen people raise money for emus and ostriches back in the 80s. That was a big popular craze back in those days. So you can raise money for just about anything. And if you've never raised capital, use this webinar as the launching pad to get started, because you have to ask yourself, what will happen if you never take action? Now, I want to share just a little testimonial with you, and then we'll get into the good stuff. This is one of my students, Nicholas Breen. Nicholas is in Las Vegas, Nevada. I was with him actually last week. We visited, and knowing I was coming out there to see him, he sent me this text. Are you going to be in Vegas? Yes. I was just in your capital school and just raised about 5.6 million since joining. You should let me take you out to dinner, which he did. Now, here's the point. Nicholas joined capital school, our coaching program, in early January of this year. That's right, early January of this year, and already he's had this level of success. Okay. Now, I want to apologize for the audio, but I want to share with you just what he had to say when we were together in Vegas last week. Let me just click on the link here.
Yeah, so working with Brad has been really great. Normally, I'm really skeptical and hesitant about joining courses or anything like that. But for some reason, I decided to join the course, go through the materials, and implement as is. And because of it, I've been able to raise a significant amount of money, just under $6 million in 2 months. It's been really good. Brad is a great guy. He doesn't fluff it up. He's not, trying to sell you on the next thing. He tells you exactly what to do, how to do it in a very simple way, and in a way that's easy to execute. And because of that, I've been able to do some things that I really never thought I was going to be able to do. And Brad's a great guy, great course. If you just do what he says, I am really confident that you'll be able to raise the amount of money you need for your projects and just make it happen.
Right.
Yeah, so working with Brad is good.
So let's go ahead and get started. I want to cover something that I call the trust sequence. This is one of the key concepts in understanding how to raise capital, okay? You have to understand that you need to develop trust and build a relationship with another person. That's key. That's one of the key principles. And I've developed over many years this thing that I teach and coach on called the trust sequence. It's literally 6 steps, okay? 6 things that have to happen sequentially for you to build that trust inside of another person. And it all starts largely with perception. Psychologists say that when you meet somebody, they're evaluating you within the first 30 to 60 seconds. And they're deciding in their mind whether they want to move forward in that relationship with you. Now, when I'm on stage speaking in front of an audience, I always throw out the joke that the ladies understand this concept better than the men, right? Because ladies, for those of you that have been on that first date, the guy picks you up, you're looking at the car, you're looking at him, and in your mind, you're deciding whether there's ever going to be a second date. And that's largely what goes on when you meet a prospective investor. It's the perception. What does your business card say about you? If you have a website, what does your website say about you? The way you dress. What does your pitch deck say about you? Did you go to Kinko's and have it printed in black and white and throw a staple up in the corner? Or is it in color with a nice glossy laminate cover and a nice spiral, right? So that perception largely drives the process forward, because that potential investor who's affluent, who's successful, right, is looking at you and deciding what that next step in the process looks like. Now, I teach something called the 4-step blueprint. 4 calls, 4 meetings, 4 Zooms, 4 touches that tie together with this trust sequence to basically move you forward and almost guarantee success. Part of the process in getting people to trust you is for them to open up and share something about them. The more people talk, the more they're going to like you. And so one of the things that I teach is how to find out what's going to tempt that person to move forward in that relationship. The way you uncover their temptation to invest is by asking them questions. You say things like, Steve, when you invest, are you looking for income? Are you looking for growth? Or are you really trying to achieve both? Victor, how important are tax benefits to you? Is that something that would be of interest? Yes, great. Susie, are you investing to do something special with this money, like put your kids through school, maybe pay for a vacation property? Yes. You get them opening up, you get them talking about themselves, and you have a conversation. And all that time in the first, second meeting or the first, second call, you're reaffirming, I have nothing I can offer you today from the perspective of an investment. I don't have any opportunities that I can discuss with you now. All you're doing is you're creating that trust. You're adding the value. And what you'll find is you're creating what I call a connection. It's the beginnings of a relationship between you and that other person. And so what you might see is they start to follow you socially on LinkedIn. They start to follow you, or they send you a request. On Facebook, they start to make comments on your postings. On Instagram, you're getting the thumbs up and the little hearts. I love your post today. All of those are good things, because it means that that person now trusts you. You see, they're now connected. And then there's one very important step. We call this the validation phrase that I've developed over many years, that is going to cement the relationship and is going to open the door for you to pitch and present whatever it is you want to present. This is a very key, fundamental, core concept. The biggest mistake that rookies make is they pitch too early in their relationship. You see, the investor is going to be polite and say, yes, please send me the information to take a look at it. But when it comes time for them to open up that checkbook and invest, it ain't going to happen, because you've pitched too early. If you do it this way, you're teeing yourself up for success by asking what we call the validation phrase. And the validation phrase validates what you've been saying all along, that you don't have anything for them to invest in. And so it goes something like this, and you want to listen to this very carefully. Victor, like I've told you all along, man, right now, I just don't have anything that I can really discuss with you as it relates to a potential investment. I've really enjoyed getting to know you, learn a little bit more about your family and about your dreams as it relates to what you want to do with your capital. But here's what I'd love to do. I keep a list on my desk of people. I'd like to just add your name to that list of people, if I may. And in the event at some point in the future, Victor, I have an opportunity or an investment that I think you could get excited about, I'd love to be able to give you a call. Would that be okay with you today? When he says yes, please do that. I have validated he now trusts me enough to call him back when there's an opportunity that's worthy of presenting. You see, what I've done now psychologically for him is I has opened his mind to the idea of me pitching and presenting something to him. He doesn't know whether it's going to be next week. maybe in 3 weeks. But what he's done is he's given me permission to now come to him with an opportunity. You see, part of this process is understanding some sales psychology as well, that we also coach and mentor. Now, once you do that, on that third call, you're now going to call them back and you're going to warm them up. How's the family doing? What's the weather like? Have you done anything exciting since we last connected? No, great, whatever. But you're going to finally say, you know, last time we connected, you asked me to put your name on a list that I keep, Victor. And it just so happens I've got something I think that you can get excited about. We're doing a deal, or I'm doing this. And then, man, you pitch your heart out. You create what we call FOMO. That's the fear of missing out on an opportunity. We'll talk about that. You build to what we call an inflection point in your delivery. And then at some point, as you're wrapping up, you say, can I send you the information so that you can take a look at it and evaluate the opportunity? That's when you send now the pitch deck that you've put together. That's when you send the executive summary or your private placement memorandum. That's when you send the one pager that very concisely explains the investment. And now you're teed up to call back on call number 4 using that 4-step system, answer questions and close. And when you close, there's a closing process where you basically say, how many units, how many shares, how much money would you like to contribute? And they open up their checkbook and boom, you've got an investor. Now, there's obviously more steps, but that's the gist. Now, once you get an investor, we call that attachment. They're now attached to you emotionally through that trust and connection. Financially, they're attached. And this is where it gets real fun. Once you prove your abilities to that investor, they start to see that you're successful, that you're the real deal. You can now go back and say, Victor, who are you connected with that I should also be speaking to? And boom, Victor says, my golf buddy, Rob, man, he just sold a piece of real estate. I know he's sitting on some money. Or you need to talk to my business partner. See, now you're able to start accelerating your capital raising business because now you're getting referrals. You're getting warm leads. And it's always much better if somebody tells their friend how great you are than you trying to convince them yourself. You see? And so this is what we call this is what we call the trust sequence. Now, there's also this 4-step framework that I touched upon. And the 4-step framework is basically 4 calls, 4 meetings, 4 Zooms, build trust. You're building basically that relationship, and it does use some psychology. You need to understand the psychology behind the process because, as they say, it's not what you say, but how you say it, what comes out of your mouth. And this can be used whether it's a warm lead, whether it's a referral, whether it's a cold lead, it don't matter. And so in our mentorship and coaching, we have these workbooks. And these workbooks are combined with the videos and the online instruction to really drill home these key concepts so that you can study them and so that you can master them. But basically, here's what it looks like. The first meeting or the first call or the first whatever is just to build rapport. You're not selling, you're not pitching, you're not even talking about the investment at all. You're just asking questions. You might send a little corporate piece that just says who you are, what you do. And then on the second call, you're following up, you're asking more questions, you're going deeper with that person, you're connecting. And then at the end of the second call, that's where you ask that validation phrase. You see, and now you're going to come back with call number 3, where you're offering that opportunity. I'm going down my list with you today, and here I am back because I've got this great idea, and then you close. Call number 4 is the close. Now imagine this in your mind. If each one of these 4 meetings or these 4 touches was only about a week, maybe 10 days apart, how fast can you go from no money to your first investor once you have your investor package completed? About 4 to 5 weeks. It doesn't take months to raise capital. You can have your first investor commitment literally in as short as 4 to 6 weeks once you get started and once you put this pitch deck together. So let's change the subject now and get over here into what I call the pitch. This is what we're going to be talking about now, is the pitch deck. Now, your $1 million pitch is really your business plan. It's your idea translated typically into a PowerPoint. That's typically the medium that most people use to put together their presentation. Now, you're going to also need to have a business plan or an executive summary, or if you're raising a larger amount, something like a private placement memorandum, we call it. But that is a long narrative of the business intended for one person to read on their own, or, you know, maybe you're presenting to a group, but it rarely happens that they're going to read every page. These documents that the lawyers put together or that we would help you prepare, man, they got a lot of risk disclaimers, and they're really great at putting people to sleep. If you have a problem going to sleep, go get yourself a private placement memorandum on any type of investment, start reading, and I guarantee in 10 to 12 pages, you'll be snoring right away. But your pitch deck is what you're going to use. This is the most important piece of raising capital, is your pitch deck. This is where you're going to present the concept. You're going to basically present the idea. And unlike the executive summary, or unlike an offering memorandum, the pitch deck needs to be more visual. Okay, here's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about your pitch deck as a major motion picture. Okay, we've all been to the movies, right? As you sit down, you got your bucket of popcorn, you got your drink. Did they share with you the major motion picture first? No, that comes after some trailers. The trailers pique your interest on the upcoming movies that are going to be coming later in the season, right? So when you put together your package, you have what's called a one-pager. It's a teaser. It very concisely says, this is who we are, this is what I do, here's the deal, here's the structure, and very quickly, in about 5 minutes, an investor can look at that very quickly. It's a teaser. Then you get to the pitch. The pitch is the movie. And so let's talk about what a good pitch looks like. I'm going to show you slides before, after, and then I'm going to give you a real life example to show you exactly the benefit of what we can do by partnering and working with you. So the very first thing is a pitch deck needs to use pictures. The biggest problem that people have when they put together their pitch is they don't bring it to life with pictures and images that communicate and sell the story. And so mistake number one for a lot of people that go out trying to raise capital is they're not using pictures. Okay, they're not putting pictures on the cover slide, and they're not putting pictures throughout the presentation. Big rookie mistake here. Now, take a look at the two slides. This is real. These are real deals. Okay, this is someone that works with me sent me this one. This is exactly what this company created. We made some positive, constructive comments, and they came up with the slide on the right, which is the after. And so when you look at this, you can quickly see that if you're now the recipient, you're an investor, the one obviously on the right side of the screen, the after, is much more compelling, right? The Brewer family. Well, you know, here's a picture of a family and they're holding hands. It taps into the emotion. That's what people basically invest with, is their emotion. And so remember also the first step in the trust sequence. What is that step? Perception. I think the one on the right, the after, makes a much, much nicer impression as a first introduction. So let's take a look at the next slide. This is another big mistake that people make, and that is not using better photographs. You really want to look at the quality of the pictures you put into your presentation. But more importantly, if you're not able to get better quality pictures, you can enhance what you have using strategies like fading the area around something you want to bring to a potential investor's attention. Okay, if you have something that you're doing that you want to stand out, just contrast around that image so it pops out of the page. You see the difference here? Help your audience know where to direct their attention. It's much easier for me now if I'm trying to sell this particular apartment opportunity as a multifamily deal to an investor. to say, look at this property, you can see here, and they see it. I mean, it's boom, it pops right off the page. On the other side, they don't know if they're getting the whole thing. You know, maybe they think they're getting the area that's in the upper right corner, that's in the very back. You see, big difference here in the way that the same slide communicates information. But again, big rookie mistake is not to add contrast to highlight what you're trying to bring to someone's attention. Let's take a look at another big rookie mistake, not being consistent. Okay, this is a big mistake. When you're not consistent across your brand, your materials start to look not as professional as they could be. And here's what I'll tell you. Every big major company, from Apple to Amazon to Nike, doesn't matter, when they hire a large advertising company to put together a campaign, one of the key things they say and they tell them is, we want everything to stay within this color palette. In other words, the colors that we're going to give to you should be on our website, on our business cards, in our presentations, on our shirts, our logos. So now there's a commonality across our brand, and there's consistency to everything that people are going to see. So the idea is to make all your slides visually consistent with a color palette, and then carry that to the other things that an investor is going to see, your website, the social media, the printed materials, because doing this is going to create the brand, and it's also going to elevate your presentation in the eyes of a potential investor and capital partner. Let's take a look at mistake number 4, lack of visual hierarchy. This is another big problem we always see with pitch decks. People look at a slide and they're like, I don't know what to be looking at. And so when you organize information on a slide and you're trying to communicate that with people, it's very important to basically bring their attention and eyesight in on what it is you want to share with them. Identify what element you want them to read first. Bring that information to the forefront of your slide. And you can do this many ways. You can do this through contrast. You can do it through the visual layout. But you want to be thinking about all these things that I'm talking about as you're sitting down at your computer and you're actually crafting your pitch deck. And then lastly, and we've already kind of touched upon this, is not using pictures. Look at the huge difference in just the quality of the slide here. Same message. Investments every investor should make before an exit. And here the guy, nice cup of coffee, little gold font up there, you see, very elegant. Not using pictures is one of the biggest mistakes that we commonly see. Now, because we're here tonight talking about your $1 million pitch, what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with you a real live example from one of my students. I've got a student out in California, Silicon Valley. He is a big time real estate developer, and this dude builds and develops multi-million-dollar houses. And he came to Capital School, signed up, invested in his future. And he said, Brad, can I send you my pitch deck? You know, I want to send it to you and your team. I want you to evaluate it. Be as blunt as you can. I'm looking for some good feedback. And I said, sure, man, that's what we do. And this was his slide. Boom, without my logo, just a development case study. No pictures, no nothing. Nada, zilch. Basically just a white frame, boop, and it said development case study on pitch deck. Now, I, in my notes, said, man, this doesn't tell me what you do. Like, I have no idea. And so this was the cover. Investment opportunities in funds in Silicon Valley with his contact information. And I said, man, this would go right in the garbage can, team. I mean, literally, I'm not being critical, but man, there's nothing here that compels me to turn the page and really take another look. Let me show you before and after. Boom. Now we're talking. Now there's a beautiful picture of one of the houses he built and developed. Now in my mind, I can see exactly what my money is going into, right? You see the difference? Boom, boom. Same company. But which one of these two slides would you open your checkbook for? Certainly this one, you see? And so that's the power of a picture. That's the power of that color palette. Now, I want you to pay attention as I click through these next couple slides, and what you'll notice is the same color palette is pretty much on every single slide. When he came to me with his presentation, right? This was the cover. Boom, he went to this. This was the second slide. Let me tell you now what I'm going to talk to you about today in my pitch. We're going to talk about the fund sponsor, that's me. We're going to talk about our organizational goals. We're going to talk about why we love Silicon Valley. And I looked at this and I said, man, this is about as boring as you can get. Nothing here that's sexy at all. Boom. Before and after. Picture, color palette. See the gold? We put all the numbers for the pages in a nice gold font. But the other thing that you can also play with is bold. You notice some of the lettering on this page, the organizational chart under fund structure, return to investors is not in a bold font, but it adds a nice, elegant touch to that slide. Isn't that beautiful? So as you're designing your pitch deck, start bringing images to life to communicate and tell your story, because the next slide was just an absolute train wreck. Boom. This was the real slide in his pitch deck, everybody. This dude's trying to go out and raise millions of dollars, and he sends a slide like this with a picture that looks like this. And I said, man, no. Number one, there's no depth to your team. It's you and nobody else. Like Shark Tank. I don't know that you can execute on this strategy. I mean, maybe you can, but you know, you've got your URL up there at the top. I understand that, why it's there, but you've got a terrible picture of yourself, man. Get a professional quality headshot. And so what we did is we went back to him and he came up with this. Look at how much nicer this same slide, same bio, but now a much better headshot. He brought his wife in, right? She's an attorney. Do you think that's important to a potential investor? Heck yeah. CPA, heck yeah. He now has other partners on the next slide, which was behind this. He brought my image in and my bio as an advisor to his slide, saying I'm his capital raising advisor. Organizational structure. Here's our strategy. Here's what we're going to do. And then boom. So as you're looking at all of these slides I'm sharing with you in $1 Million Pitch Deck, I hope you're starting to digest and understand that there is a huge difference in creating a $1 million pitch deck and just sitting down and putting words and pictures on paper, everybody. Will you be successful? Maybe, but you're dramatically increasing your chances when you understand the concepts behind $1 Million Pitch Deck. You see pictures, color palette, bringing somebody's attention, using these little icons on the page as you're talking about different things related to your investment strategy. All of these things are so very, very important as you're basically communicating and talking to people. Now, here's the thing. I want to ask for your permission to reveal something. Yeah, I want to get your permission to share with you something. A lot of you are saying to yourselves, man, I don't know that I can do this right now. And that's fine. Some of you can, maybe others of you can't. But if this is piquing your interest, that's great, because this is a major part of our Capital School coaching program. This is exactly what me and my team do all the time. I can literally hold you by the hand and I can walk you step by step how to attract investors, like how to use social media, how to join groups, what to say to them once you're physically in front of them, using the 4-step blueprint, using the trust sequence. We're going to show you how to put together your investor package, just like we did with Natine, before, after, boom, boom, developing a multi-million-dollar high-quality pitch deck that looks something like this, but resembles your brand and communicates your investment opportunity. We're going to help you understand what goes into your offering memorandum. We'll actually give to you a template, same template attorneys use It's in a Word document where you can cut and paste and physically create your own offering document. And in the process, bypass the big law firms that charge an arm and a leg and come up with a very similar document that is fully compliant. And in the process, literally save yourself tens of thousands of dollars. Okay. In essence, what I do is I take the last 35 years of my career and I distill it down to the most important things that you need to know to go out and successfully raise capital. Get your first investor and begin that capital raising journey. Now, my team, of course, led by Chris, you met Chris earlier, as well as Lisa, is here so that if you're interested in getting on a strategy call, understanding what that would look like, all you got to do is you just got to send an email to chris@bradblazer.com, or you got to send an email to Lisa, info, I-N-F-O, @bradblazer.com. Okay, and they'll connect with you and they'll give you the information on how we can help you, how we can hold your hand. But here's the thing. You know, when you learn how to raise capital, once you get your first investor, there's definitely an increased confidence and an increased desire to now do more. It's like, man, this works. I'm sitting here looking at a check, holding it in my hand for $100,000. That's more money than I make in an entire year working a 40-hour work week, 50 weeks out of the year. Once you get that first investor, there's an increased confidence. There's an increased desire now to do more. Your internal confidence will go up because you now know that you can physically do this. Now you simply need to just go out and do more of it. You see, my student Nicholas, you heard from him earlier, who joined in early January. He sent me a text where he forwarded me a message from a potential investor that said, put us down for an indication of interest for $200,000. And like he shared with us in the DM, and more importantly in the video, man, the dude's raised almost $6 million. And it has not taken him years. He's done it in months. You see, that's the beauty of understanding these principles. That's the beauty of investing in yourself, but that's also the beauty of making the decision that you're going to go pro, that you're finally going to commit to those desires and those goals and the things that are inside you that you have basically held down due to a lack of capital. You see, now it's time to make those things happen. Now it's time actually to say, yes, I want to do this. It's time to raise your hand and say, yes, show me how to get some investment capital so I can build my business, so I can scale my business if I already have one, or so how I can go out and actually invest in real estate, do something bigger with my life, do something like that. So like I said earlier, this will work for just about anybody. It doesn't matter if you're in real estate. Doesn't matter whether you want to buy or scale a business, e-commerce, we got students doing that. Doesn't matter whether you want to launch a new company. I've seen money raised for just about anything. But here's the thing. It would cost you literally tens of thousands of dollars and take you years to figure all of this stuff out on your own. Literally, it would cost you tens of thousands of dollars and take you years to try to figure all this stuff out on your own, to figure out the trust sequence, to figure out the 4-step blueprint, to figure out the validation phrase, to put it all together. That's why I'm so glad that you're here with me. You see, I have the blueprint. I have the recipe. I can show you how to bake the cake. I can show you the way that we successfully go out and raise capital, not in years, but in days, weeks, and months. Once your investor package is put together and completed, the 4-step blueprint that I have and the validation phrase will literally get you out in front of people raising capital fairly quickly and very effectively. Now, the second thing that also you're going to get as you get out there and you start talking to people is basically the mindset that, you can do more in life, because your logic now might think going out there and raising money, Brad, is hard. And here's the thing I'll tell you, I disagree. Again, you don't have the plan. You don't have the system. You don't have the concepts that I've literally perfected over 35 years of doing this. You think things that I use to effectively raise capital, like the trust sequence, like the 4-step blueprint, like everything else, they all work. Okay. Everyone that has ever raised a large amount of money says it all started by simply taking action and then just repeating the process over and over and over again. Okay. Now, there are two types of people in this world. Okay. There are people out there that still cling to what we call their amateurish ways. These people are indecisive. They lack the ability to make a decision. They're not bold. They're not confident. They lack commitment. They sit on the fence. And most importantly, they don't invest in themselves by reading books, by getting around coaches and mentors that can show them the right path. Then there's other people that have made the decision to go pro or that want to make that decision. They say, man, I'm sick and tired of being an amateur. I'm ready to do something big in my life. Those are the types of people that I like to work with. Those are the types of people that are bold. They make commitments. They want a bigger future. They like to invest themselves, and they understand the importance of getting knowledge and then backing that knowledge with some effort and action. Now, I'm going to show you here in a minute how once you learn how to go out and get high net worth retail investors, you can scale and actually grow your business. Because the next step, once you master getting money from just high net worth individuals, is to understand that you can now go to family offices and start getting much larger checks. That's what I do. I go to family offices, and instead of writing me checks for 50 and 100, I pick up checks for $5 million. The largest check I've ever handled was $11 million on one transaction. And you just keep growing, and you keep increasing your knowledge, and you keep doing more with your life. The biggest sale that I ever made was $11 million, and it came from a very large family office. They had just sold some real estate, and what they wanted to do is they wanted to do something called a 1031 Tax Deferred Exchange, which means you're taking the profits and you're immediately reinvesting it in another similar type of property so that you don't have to pay taxes on all the gains. And they flew in, they met with me, they met with the CEO of the company that I was consulting and working with. And about 3 days later, the CEO said, I don't think they're going to invest with us. And I said, why would you say that? I don't know. They just don't seem like they were asking the right questions. They just didn't seem really connected. And I said, man, you want to make a little wager, little gentleman's bet? Just like the movie Trading Places, right? With Eddie Murphy, the two gentlemen shook hands. We had a little bet. And I want to tell you, I just continued working the magic. They opened up their checkbook, boom, $11 million. Let me tell you how great it feels to take $5 from the CEO of a company after he told you he didn't think you were going to close the deal. But you see, it's having the systems, it's having the process, it's having the knowledge. And in addition to that, I've closed many other mega $1 million deals, 9 million, 7.5 million, 5 million. The commissions alone on some of these big transactions are multiple six figures, you see? So along the way of being here tonight, you're probably going to have questions, okay? Because this does involve what I call moving parts. You got the trust sequence, you got the 4-step blueprint, you got the validation phrase, crafting your pitch, understanding how to make your pitch deck look like this instead of the before that I shared with you earlier. And we've done this so many times that literally it's almost like we can do it in our sleep. So here's what I want to talk to you about. For those of you that have an interest in going pro and really stepping up and doing something much, much bigger with your life, I want to recommend that you take a look at investing in yourself, because we're going to lay this all out for you. Okay. It's packaged in a way that makes it very easy and very possible for you to take action and begin that capital raising journey. There's going to be a roadmap that I literally lay out for you and say, if you follow these steps, just like Nicholas did, you will have success. There's going to be basically a blueprint that I've crafted over 30 years. We combine that with live weekly training. We combine that with a private members only Facebook community. We combine that with weekly coaching calls, strategy calls, an online academy with videos, workbooks, PDFs, all of those things are there, as well as my team. So my team is basically here to schedule a strategy session with you if you have an interest in basically moving forward and doing that. Now, here's what it looks like. Okay. The pitch deck is very, very difficult. It's very, very hard to master because it's a lot more than just throwing content and pictures up. But here's what we want to coach you on. We want you to invest in yourself if you have an interest in doing this. Okay. You're going to get a live weekly training call. This is a live call we do every Thursday afternoons. It's recorded. Okay. It's available for replay. We broadcast this around the world. Like I said, I got students that are on the other side of the planet that pick up on the next day. So you don't have to worry about missing any of the content. You're never going to miss any of the learning or any of the knowledge. If you have an appointment and you can't make it at the time we go live, just come in and watch it later. But these are live weekly training calls where I am coaching, I'm answering questions, I'm role playing, I'm talking about all these concepts. One week we talk about the 4-step blueprint. Boom. Next week we talk about things like the trust sequence. Week after that, I might bring on a guest speaker that shares what they're doing so that you can learn from other people. I'm talking to Nicholas. Hey, Nicholas, you want to be a guest speaker on one of our weekly calls to share with the audience what's working for you, what's not working? I can't put a price on these weekly coaching calls. I just put they're priceless because you're learning, you're absorbing, you're growing, you're realizing, man, I don't know what I don't know. And you're basically now correcting perhaps many of these rookie mistakes that we see all the time. The second thing is the 4-step blueprint. We're going to give you that entire core concept. We're going to break it down. We're going to give you the PDF workbook, the videos, as well as just talking about that every single week. Boom. Here it is again until it sinks in. I want to give you the scripts, the templates, and really the framework to fast track your first investment. We sell that individually, unbundled, for just under $1,500. I'm also, like I said, going to give you the offering memorandum template. When you raise money from investors, especially a lot, you need an offering memorandum. It's a legal document that has risk disclaimers and all the things you need to be compliant. Big time law firms easily charge upwards of $30,000, $50,000. It's included. You're going to get this as a template that's in a Word document so that you can cut and paste and put your information in there, and in the process save tens of thousands of dollars. And then you can use that to go out and actually start sharing with potential investors. We're going to talk about things like crowdfunding, how to use all these platforms that have access to thousands of investors, how to use them, how to use your social media, how to create ads to drive people forward to things like a webinar. We're going to talk about how you access high net worth investor lists. We're going to give you access to a family office directory that has contact information, names, emails, addresses, so that you can reach out to them as well. Now, unbundled, you can see here, if we were to offer you the opportunity to buy these things separately, they'd be just under $9,000. But I'm going to give you even more. I'm going to add some bonuses to this. Okay, these bonuses are also included because you're here tonight if you take action. The bonus for tonight, if you want to take action on this, is you're going to get a one-on-one strategy call with me. We're going to sit down just like we're doing here, but it's just you and me. Okay, we're going to do it by Zoom, and we're going to discuss what you want to do. You want to go pro. I get that. You want a bigger future. I get that. I'm here to help you. I want to help you take that next step. And then we're going to sit down and say, okay, here's what we want to do. Let's lay out a plan on how we're going to attack it. What are you going to do this next week? What are you going to do the second week? You're going to have literally a time frame so that you know week by week what you need to be doing, because we're going to get on that strategy call together. It's a one-on-one call. It's not group coaching. That's just you and me. Okay. That's $1,300 right there. Boom. Then we're going to analyze your pitch deck. Usually I tell people this is not part of our capital school. I'm throwing it in there. We're going to review, just like I did for the team, right? Your deck. If you've already got a deck or you've been working on something, now you're going to get professional feedback. Now you're going to get that feedback you need to elevate your pitch deck and make you look like $1 million brand. And I'm also going to throw in there a free personally signed copy of my book, Winning at the Capital Game. Those three things alone add roughly another $3,500 to this package tonight. So you can see the total value that you're getting here is a little over $12,000. And tonight you get access to all of it for just $27.97, or you can get started for as little over $1,000. There's the link right there at the bottom. You just basically type that link into your browser. Chris is going to put it in the chat as well. For those of you that are watching on a laptop or maybe on something where you can take your phone, boom, you just scan that QR code and it'll take you right to the page where you can sign up and you can commit to Capital School. We're going to lay the foundation out for you. We're going to coach you each step of the way. We're going to give you all these tools that I've been talking about here tonight. Now, some of you are like, man, I want to do this so bad, man. Like I want to do it, but I'm struggling because I just don't have the money. And I get that. $1,000 for a lot of you here might be a financial struggle. Okay. And so here's what I want to do. I want to sweeten the offer. And as you say, I want to add a little bit of honey. I want to make it more affordable because I want to help as many people as I can. Okay. So here's the second option. If this is too much, I got something else for you. And we're going to do a live 2-day boot camp right here in Houston, Texas. You're going to come to Texas, get on an inexpensive flight, drive down. I don't care how you get there, but we're going to do it on a Friday, Saturday, April the 8th and the 9th, right here in Houston. And this is a live 2-day boot camp where you're meeting me in person and my team, and we're sitting down in the conference room and we're training, just like we do in Capital School, but it's not virtual, it is live. You're here, I'm holding your hand, I'm looking over your shoulder, and we're training. All the things you have in Capital School, you're gonna get. All the workbooks, all the videos, but it's gonna be delivered over 2 days live. Now, you're also gonna get access to our private Facebook group, okay? You're also gonna get all the printable capital raising digital workbooks. We're gonna give you the 4-step script. We're gonna give you the ultimate guide to working the investments. All these are the PDF guides. Now, this is roughly a $4,500 bundle, but I'm going to make it available where you can get started and lock in your spot for just under $700. Literally, if you want to pay this out over 3 payments, $700, then boom, 2 more payments, and I'll see you in Houston, Texas in approximately a month. And we'll sit down and we'll start coaching. Now, there's the website. You can go www.bradblazer.com. Chris is standing by. Send him an email. If you have any questions on this, right? He's there to answer questions before you actually commit. But these specials are available tonight for those of you that want to take action, okay? Because I want to help as many people as I can. Now, like I said, when you add up the cost of all of these different things, I'm going to put them both up on the screen right here. There's the links to both. And there's the QR codes. Again, these are the 2 options that you have. Capital School, our flagship program. And here's what I'll tell you. With Capital School, it is lifetime access. I give people access for the duration of the lifetime. You can always come back. You always get to access the information. All of that stuff is available to you so that you can continue to learn, okay? The boot camp, of course, is not lifetime, but you do get access to the Facebook community. You get access, of course, to the online platform for a lifetime, but you would physically be coming here. Now, here's what I've seen with people that have not made the decision to go pro. Here's the big mistake. It's trying to figure out how to do this on your own, okay? Because one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is a mistake I made very early in my career. I did not have any idea how to do this. I just floundered, tried things, they didn't work. I tried something else, didn't work. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I made tons of mistakes, and I guarantee, man, you'll make the same mistakes I did. Trust me, I didn't have a quality pitch deck. It stunk. I didn't know how to attract investors. I didn't know how to go to meetup groups. Heck, we didn't even have the internet back there with things like it, right? All it was for me at the time was my confidence, my tenacity, my perseverance. And this was a big mistake I made very early in my career by not basically understanding these concepts. It's taken me literally 35 years of mastery and the dedication to now be able to coach and teach these things at the highest level. These principles, these techniques, the psychology is what allowed me in my 20s to build a multi-million-dollar oil company. Additionally, studying and being around guys on Wall Street that raise tens of millions of dollars has taught me how to get into the family offices, how to raise money from foreign funds, how to raise money from pensions and trusts, and all of those different things that I can teach you. So if you want to do something bigger in your life and really graduate to, quote, that next level and get the ability to raise capital as your new superpower, these are the two options you get. Get in the coaching, and you can finance that over 3 payments. You do save some money. You'll notice if you pay up front, if you have the ability to do that, you end up saving about $325 because we're getting it all up front. But don't make the same mistake I did, folks. I've been there. You can fast track this. You can literally get the knowledge that you need in order to learn how to do this and start seeing success very, very quickly. I literally could have raised so much more money had I gotten the proper coaching, perfected my pitch, understood what it meant to have a $1 million pitch deck, and knew more about these fundamental principles. Now, here's how much it could be worth if you decide to take action. Look at Nicholas. He made an investment. He's now raised $6 million. You see, when you get started down this path and I hold your hand and I start showing you how to do these things and have success, it can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to you or to your business. Nicholas, a person who started in January, is having massive success. You could be the next superstar. You could be my next Nicholas. You see, all he did is he went through the Capital School program. He read, he studied, he showed up, and then he just started applying these principles. He started talking to investors. He started doing a lot of the things I showed him I was doing, and he's had massive success. You see, it's all about just making that decision. It's all about the activity. You see, if you don't do this, nothing's going to change. You're going to wake up in 5 years, 10 years with regret, because you're going to look at yourself at some point in your life and you're going to say, man, I had this dream, I had this vision. I woulda, shoulda, coulda. I had so much potential in me. If I had just stepped up to the plate and made the decision to do something bigger, to develop this superpower, I could have started that business. I could have invested in real estate. You see, you're sitting here looking at the cost, and I get that. But it's not a price, it's an investment. It's an investment in you, because there is cost in everything we do in life, but the value is much, much greater than the investment. The value of learning this skill, the value of having the ability to generate multiple streams of income, cash flow that basically covers your living expenses so you can become financially free, as Robert Kiyosaki would say. Fire your boss, walk away from corporate America, lead a life of freedom, right? The cost of time and money, that's huge. Remember, the number one reason most people don't get started raising capital is because they don't believe they can, or they have that hesitation that others won't invest with them. It's a limiting belief. And if you understand how limiting beliefs can hold you back and just break through them, you can have massive, massive success. I believe in you. The question is, do you believe in yourself? You see, that's the big question. Nicholas believed in himself. Many of my other students on my website, you go there, you'll see the testimonials from Marcus. You'll see the testimonials from Hamad. You'll see the testimonials from Kent. You'll see all these testimonials. These people believed in themselves. That's the difference. And I believe that there's tremendous cost to waiting. If you're going to sit here and say, well, the timing's not right, I don't know, I need to wait for a better moment in my life, there will never be a better moment. See, I was contacted about 3 months ago, good friend of mine, Billy Dorsey Jr., two-time Grammy Award-winning musical artist. He called me and said, Brad, I've been approached by the Salvation Army. They want to create an NFT and they want to release that and use the proceeds as a major fundraiser, but I need about $200,000 to get in the studio, get some musicians in there to lay down some musical tracks, to do some stuff. How quickly do you think you can raise me $200,000? I said, give me a week. He said, you can raise that much money that quick? I said, yeah, man, you're talking to a guy that's been doing this for 35 years. And literally, it was a little over a week. 10 days later, we had fully subscribed $200,000 for Billy. And for doing that, I negotiated 5% of that coin's value. If that coin becomes a $10 million NFT, $500,000 for raising a couple $100,000, it's not a bad payday. You see, that's the power of understanding how to attract capital. That's the beauty of developing this skill. Now I'm raising money for multifamily deals as a GP or co-GP. I'm closing next week with a group on 145 units up in Dallas. The group of us have raised about $6.3 million using other people's money, and mastering that skill at an early age has allowed me now to have multiple streams of income. Okay. It's allowed me the flexibility of going on vacation, spending time with people, doing things I want to do on my terms when I want to do them. And I want to give that opportunity to you as well. How many of you that are here with me now still have successfully raised money from other people? If you have, that's great. Scale it, make it bigger. For those that have not, you probably know somebody else that has, and they're perhaps living a very different life than you are, right? All these people I see at these conferences I go to that are raising money, doing big things, they just made a decision. And that decision was, I'm going to take action. And so I'm giving you the opportunity tonight to take action, to invest in yourself. You got the coaching, which is here at a huge discount. You got the 2-day boot camp, which is a little bit less expensive, perhaps more affordable, where you get to work with me in person. And I'm so confident, literally so confident, that our program has been developed to help you attract, raise, and work with investors, that I personally raised tens of millions of dollars using the same things I'm going to give to you, that you can do it too. And it comes with a 30-day money back guarantee. That's how confident I am. If you invest in yourself and you do the things that are expected of you, showing up, right? I see that you're going in there and you're downloading and you're looking. If at any point in time you want your money back, we'll give you a 100% refund, no questions asked. And to date, we've only had one. And it was simply because he just didn't have the time. He wasn't showing up. And I don't want to take somebody's money if they ain't going to have interest in making that decision to go pro. So I told you up front that there was going to be a bonus if you stuck around. And here's the bonus. For those of you that take action tonight because you're still here and you stay to the end, I'm going to have a special VIP Q&A session, private webinar, not advertised. The way that you'll know is through a private invitation. We'll know you took action and signed up on the boot camp or on the Capital School, and you will get a personal invitation from me to join me on a private VIP night Q&A strategy call about raising capital. This is invitation only for people that take action tonight. We're going to be discussing things, raising capital, how to attract investors, best practices. Now, for those of you that know me, you know I know a ton of people. And what I will tell you is on this special VIP bonus, there will be a couple of big time guests. You're not going to get just me. You're going to get old Brad Blazer and a lot of my friends. It might be Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. Might be Brad Lee, the host of Dropping Bombs. Might be Brandon Dawson, Grant Cardone's business partner. I've shared the stage with Brandon now 3 times. Might be Beyonce's dad, Matt Knowles. He's a friend of mine. I had Matt on my Conquer the Crisis a few years ago. Bobby Castro, John Maxwell. I don't know, but it will be a big time VIP night. But again, you got to take action, you got to pull the trigger. So you decide. So again, here's the two options. You're getting massive, massive value at a discount by taking action, investing in yourself, and making the decision that you finally want to do something bigger with your life. That's what it boils down to. You see, and when I made the decision to personally invest in myself, and I understood that I could now use this, quote, power of attracting capital, it literally has helped me change my life, but more importantly, it's helped me impact the lives of other people. All the people that have already taken action, that have enrolled in capital school around the world, they wanted one thing. They wanted more. They wanted more time. They wanted more freedom. They wanted more for their families, their kids, their loved ones. That's the difference. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, if I enroll, this is going to cost me a lot of my time. No, not taking action is what costs you time. You see, how long have you been thinking about doing something big with your life? Years? It's a lot of time. How long has that dream of starting a business been inside you? Years? Again, that's a lot of time. Think of where you could have been if you had learned how to raise capital like I did earlier in life. Think of the millions that you might have amassed at this point in time if you had just started earlier. You see, the cost of indecision and not doing something is far greater than the cost of taking action. If not now, when? When are you going to get serious about your future? You see? So again, like I said, for those of you that are here that want to join us, want us to invest in you, by you investing in us, we're going to shepherd this process for you. We're going to be your Sherpas. And more importantly, we're going to invite you back to this big VIP special night with, quote, me and my friends. Okay? You can take action by using the QR code. You can take action by going to either one of these two links. And most importantly, I'm here to help you. I want to be your coach. I want to be your mentor, because what drives the needle for me is simply helping other people. Now, I want to ask you, and you can put this in chat, how many of you are going to take action tonight? How many of you are going to make the decision to go pro? How many of you want to step up and finally do the things in life that you've been thinking about rather than thinking about them for another year? How many of you are going to take action? Let's see. Let's see. Put it in chat. I want to see in chat how many of you are going to do it. Chris wants to see. Lisa wants to see by sending an email. This offer is going to end soon. Okay? And I want to thank you all for being here with me tonight. I want to thank you so much for showing up. I want to thank you most importantly, hopefully, for making the decision to go pro and to make those dreams, make those desires, make all of those things that you've been thinking about for such a long time a reality. Because I believe in you. The question is, do you believe in yourself? That's the only thing that you have to decide. And I hope tonight, when you finally click the link and you're sitting there reading all the information about the program, what it entails, what it includes, that you make the decision. You say, Brad, yes, I do. I do believe in myself. I do want to learn this skill. I do want you to be my coach. I'm ready to commit, and I'm ready to do bigger things in life. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you so much for showing up. And as I always like to close my webinars, as I always like to close from the stage, this is Brad Blazer. Actually, now it's Sir Brad Blazer saying good night and live life big. Take care, everybody.